Hi guys. All right, so I've already recorded the afternoon, so I'm just going to go over what we did in the morning. The afternoon link is right here on the agenda, and then it's also down here at the bottom under Science and Social Studies. So for math today, we continued our game, Are You Smarter Than a Fourth Grader? Yesterday we played a whoopee cushion and tic-tac-toe game. Today we play Tresket ball. Tomorrow we will play a stinky feet game. And we're using the questions that are in Seesaw. And so if you go to your activities and go down to Are You Smarter Than a Fourth Grader? And open your draft. And then go down. So we did these yesterday. All right, we started on page 5 today. So this one was a comparing fractions problem. You could look at the model and you could see that the 5, 6 is a lot greater. There's more shaded in, or you could multiply that out and compare it, and you'll see that 60 is much greater than 36. Then on page 6, we had this question with Zeke. He's using some sugar and flour to bake some cookies, and we want to know the difference between the amount of flour and the combined amount of sugar that he used. So here we wrote down, okay, here's the white sugar, the brown sugar, and then the flour. We had to combine the amount of sugar that was being used. So when we combined those, we got the 6/4. And then we were trying to find the difference. So the flour was written as a mixed number, and the sugar, when we added those together, we got a improper fraction. So we went ahead and made both of them the same. So we changed the 2 1/4 to an improper fraction. So we had 6/4 and 9/4. So when we found the difference between those, that's where we got our 3/4 from. On question 2 at the bottom, this is you have a vase. And so we had to read real carefully, and we had to decide, okay, are we talking about one vase or are we talking about several? And so we decided when it said the number of each kind of flower in a vase is shown, that just meant one vase. And these are all the flowers that are in that vase. And so they've just kind of laid them out, and they've showed you that there's 4 daisies, there's 6 roses, and there's 5 tulips. And so it wants to know the expression that can be used to find the fraction of flowers in the vase that are daisies or tulips. And so we circled the daisies and the tulips, and we said, okay, there's 4 daisies, there's 5 tulips. And so we took out F and we took out H. And then we said, okay, we're down to G and J. So both of them have that 4 and that 5 in the numerator, which is what we want because that's how many we have. But for the denominators, we notice that they have different denominators. So one has a 4 and a 5, and then the other has a 15. So we decided to go with the 15 because we're thinking about that one whole. If we counted all of the flowers, 4 plus 6 plus 5, that would be 15. So altogether, our whole, that's where that 15 came from, and that's why we went with what we did. On question 7, this one here, we're making some waffles for our family. And so you've got some of them that are blueberry, some of them are chocolate chip, and then the rest is what we're trying to find. So we're wanting to know how many or what fraction of the waffles did not have any blueberries or chocolate chips. So we drew out 7 parts since that's our denominator. And we labeled the 4 that were blueberry, we labeled them with the B's. And the ones that were chocolate chip, we labeled with the CC for chocolate chip. And then those ones with the stars, those were the ones that were not either blueberry or chocolate chip. So that would be 2 parts out of 7. And so when we took our whole and we took out that the 4/7 and the 1/7, that gave us the 5/7. And then when we took away 5/7 from that whole, that's where we got those 2/7. All right, and number 8, This one here, we're getting into subtraction with decimals. So it says, the owners of a business, they rented some square feet of space in an office building, and then they plan to use some of that space for their kitchen. And so we want to know how many square feet are left. So here, if you think about this, you've got this whole, okay, so you've got this whole space. Part of that space is going to be designated, so I'll put W for whole. Part of that is going to be designated for the kitchen. And then this other part right here is going to be what's left. So again, this is just part, whole. Take your whole, subtract the part, and you'll be given the other part. The thing that you really need to be careful of is making sure you line everything up. That 6 and the 281.6, that 6 has to be under the 2 because it's in the tens place, and you have to add the 0, you don't have to, but you can add the 0 at the end because there's no hundreds. If you were to slide that over and not have everything lined up, you would get a completely different answer. So make sure all of that is lined up correctly according to its place value. So you can go ahead and draft that. Then going back to the agenda, after that, we went over some of the questions, just talking about fractions type questions, and just, why people are choosing what they're choosing. And the big thing is just going back to that place value chart. You have got to have that place value chart. You got to have it down because a lot of the things, they're so close that if you have the wrong place value, it completely throws everything off. So again, this one right here is your hundredths. These are our decimals. Then we have our tenths. Then we have our decimal point. Oh, what happened? Why is it erasing? Stop erasing. Then we have our ones, our tens, our hundreds. And so normally we abbreviate 100, 10, 1, tenths, hundredths. Or I don't know why I put that TH. Normally I just do a T. But because it's over here, that is showing that it's in the tenths place if it's to the right. So that T to the right, tenths. The T to the left, just tens. So same thing with the hundreds. 100 to the left, that we're talking about 100, like $100 bill. But to the right, if I have 100th, that's talking about a penny. So they're very, 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 very different. So if you've got these numbers not in the right column, like I said, it's going to completely throw off that number. So be careful and line them up like they need to be. All right. For reading, we read 16 and 17 in Crenshaw and talked about that. So that link is right here. You can click to read or to listen to those chapters. Then we have finished all of section 2. So in your seesaw, you can wrap up that because after chapter 17, it goes into part 2 of the book. So there's 3 parts. So we're now finished with that. So section 2 of this activity, you can finish that up. And then we did some review with nonfiction, and this is in your seesaw. So we opened seesaw twice. So we had this one right here, week 34 nonfiction. We had this in one tab. And then we had Seesaw opened again. And in the other tab, we had reading week 34. And we read, starting on page 5, the story of E.B. White. And so this is this goes from page 5 all the way down to 6. So this is a nonfiction about his life. So we read this, and the questions that we broke off into breakout rooms, and these were the types of questions that we worked with. So inferencing, central idea, context clues, features, author's purpose, organization, fact and opinion, word meaning, structure, and text evidence. So these are some things that could come from a nonfiction text. So if you go down to inferencing, when you're inferencing, you're just taking what you know from what you read and your own experience and just kind of, making conclusions. Then central idea, what is this section mostly about? Context clues, what best helps you understand the meaning. So we know words can mean several different things. And so, if you were to look up a dictionary or in the dictionary, the word freedom, it might have several different meanings, or, any other word, it might have several different meanings. But you have to go back to the text and look around at the text and look for those clues and say, okay, which meaning are they talking about? So those context clues, those things around where the word is, those really help with the meaning. Features, there's a photograph in the book. E.B. White is the author of Charlotte's Web, and so there's a quote from Charlotte's Web. So it's a photograph and then a caption. Why is that there? What is it showing us? Author's purpose, thinking about, someone sat down and not only did they, of course they're the ones that the author is the one that wrote it, but they had to think about, okay, how do I want, what do I want to put first and what do I want to put last? And, what photograph do I want to include and what should the caption say? So the author is the one kind of the mastermind putting all the things together. Why did they do what they did? What is the purpose of, why they, either organized it or presented it in a certain way? Organization, same thing. Why are things the way they did, or how did the author choose to organize? For this one, it's asking about paragraph 1. So how did they organize that information? Fact and opinion. Facts are those things we can look them up, we can prove. It's not someone's opinion. Sorry, someone's driving by and making my dog bark. Opinion is, it's just my personal belief, or it's something that, maybe some people believe, but not everybody. So opinion, you're going to look for those things where it's like, not everybody thinks that way, or not everybody feels like that, or that's not true for, every, whatever it's talking about. And then facts, yep, you can prove them. All right, text evidence. So going back to the text, going back, finding that evidence, this comes, is coming from the writing. Where's that evidence of, what it's asking about? On number 10, structure. Why does the author include facts about his wife? So there's a part in there about his wife, and what was the reason? Why did it not just talk about E.B. White? Why did it mention her? And you'll have to think back, think about kind of the role that she played in his life. So again, this has to do with structure has to do with thinking about, putting your author hat on. Why is that included? And then word meaning, same, like we talked about, using that dictionary, and then not just looking it up, but going back to that paragraph 4 and plugging that in and seeing, okay, yeah, does that help me understand what that word means? So when you're done with that, you can hit draft. or no, I'm sorry, you can actually turn that in because we're done with the one with the stars. So the one with the stars can be turned in. This other one with the text, we'll still, tomorrow we're doing poetry. So hang on to this one. So that's the one that can be drafted, and then the stars can be turned in. And then for our daily language review, that is in your activities. If you go down to week 34, daily writing, we went to page 2. And so all this week we've been, our writing prompts have been connected to things that we've been reading about with Crenshaw. And so the kids, they're having, or the whole family, they're having a big garage sale, and they have to get a bag, and their parents said, okay, you can put some of your keepsakes in there, and those are the things that you're going to hang on to, and we're pretty much going to sell everything else. They're trying to make money, they're having trouble paying their rent and so on. And so one of their keepsakes, they each have a special book. And so Robin, his sister, has hers, and then Jackson has his, and his is called A Hole to Dig. So you can click on this link right here. If you click right here, A Hole is to Dig, and you can listen to the story. Now, I'm going to be honest, the story is boring. It is super old. It is just kind of very repetitive. So just a couple minutes to get an idea. Okay, what is this book about? Once you watch it for a couple minutes, you'll fully, I mean, it's the same thing over and over, just kind of different situations. So, don't bore yourself to death. But I do want you to think about, why is it that Jackson chose this book for his keepsake? What does this tell you about his character and just kind of who he is as a character? So go ahead and do that. And then for the grammar side over here, we had missing punctuation in this one. So it needed that period at the end. We needed to capitalize the city on number 2. The adverb, you can help yourself review adverbs. We went over this here. Adverbs are, you're looking at that verb, so that verb talk, and then it's explaining how they're talking. So the friends are talking, they're not talking quietly, or, they're not angry or anything like that. They're talking happily. So happily is that adverb that tells us more about that verb. Then we've got the homophones there, and there. So this one, when you have the one with the apostrophe, so the they and then the apostrophe RE, it stands for they are. So you break those apart and then you plug it in and you see if it fits. And this one, it would be they are glad they made it to the bus on time. So that one fits. And then the correct spelling for another at the end on number 6. So go ahead and hit draft for that. Then again, for science, you have your link here and social studies here. So we had some time at the end of the day to go back and finish old assignments and make corrections. And then my online kids, you guys had PE today. Please make sure I had the music teacher and the PE teacher come by and tell me there are lots of students with missing assignments. So please make sure that you are getting your assignments in. You have PE today, you have music tomorrow. So please make sure that you're all caught up and there's nothing that they're needing as they wrap up their grades as well. Alrighty. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow. And let's see here. All right, bye guys.